Can you hear me? Testing, testing. I feel like I've gate crashed Shelley's party or something. I've just rocked up to go live in her group. Is anybody there? I could just go in anyone's group, couldn't I? And just go live. I want someone to come on and say hello. Right, so as I understand it, there is a challenge. It's February. It's the 1st of February. And Shelley has challenged her to go live in her group every day throughout February. And I go live in my group, but it is still quite scary coming live in other people's. But scary going live in my own group, to be honest, because you're always worried that you fluff up your words. So for my day one session, I thought I would tell you what I like to do to prepare when I go live. And hang on, because I haven't got my thing on. It's switched off. I must have been waiting for 2 hours. Right, so what do I do when I'm going to go live? Well, I invested in these cards, right? So I've got lots of lined cards and they go in my box. I'll show you my system. So this is my box, right? And I've got all of these cards. I've got coloured cards because I like to keep things interesting. And as I'm going about my travels, I might be, oh, hang on, I wasn't very well prepared. I might be reading a book. So I might read this book and I might come across something and I'll say, oh my God, that really is useful. That'll really go down well if I share that with my clients. So maybe what I'll do is I'll get a card and I'll make a few notes on the card about that subject. So it might be about boundaries, for example. And I'll put that away and I might just be going about my business and I might see something online. I might stumble across a blog post or something else about boundaries. And there it goes on the card with the boundaries from the, you know. And then when I feel confident or when I feel like it's relevant or I want to discuss this thing, if it comes up again, then I'll pull this out and think, right, today I'm going to do a live about this. And it's usually relevant to something that's happening in my life. So it might be like today I'm talking about going live. So I've always wanted to develop my program so that I've also got some basic business tips and skills for my clients. So if I get a client who comes through and then she then now wants to, you know, grow a group or if she wants to learn how to go live, I want to now pass on what I've learned. So this video is going to help me to do that, isn't it? So the first thing is obviously everybody gets nervous. But if you're confident about what you're talking about, if your content really lights you up, it makes you feel like it's relevant and it's going to be helpful, then you turn it with a little bit something behind you, so you're not quite as, you know, shaky or worried. And sometimes I get overwhelmed because I'm always talking about my experience, but it's important to try and flip it around and put it across to the client or whoever's listening to what's in it for them. So you're constantly thinking about why should they listen to you and to keep it short and snappy. All right. Now, obviously, I've seen Joanne Mason Books put a picture of where to press when you to go live. So that's more like the practicalities of what you would have to do. You'd have to press that button and then be confident that you're in the right place and that you're talking to the right people and that they can hear you. Because often no one comes on to watch, and that's okay as well, because obviously we're all busy. Nobody knew what time you were going to come on, so don't let that put you off. As well, when people do come on, it can be quite daunting and quite off-putting because there's a delay in your comments. So it might be that I'm chatting away now and you put a comment on about something I said 3 minutes ago. Because I haven't written down everything I'm saying, I kind of forget what I've just been talking about. So don't be worried. Sometimes it's easier to focus and concentrate when there's nobody watching. All right. And I think a couple of other just practical tips to think about what's behind you. What are you actually hoping to gain? And And how are they supposed to recognize straight away that they want to press stop and listen to you? So I have my logo, my branding behind me, so that they'd recognize, if they don't recognize me, they might recognize that. And I have this because this is something that's new in my world that I'm obviously sharing with my clients now. So be aware of what's behind you as well, because that's part of the whole, it's part of your branding. It's part of how people get to know, like, and trust you. So they eventually, if they're following you for a while, they build up a whole picture of who you are. And I think that's what you need them to do in order for them to relate to you and feel it, you know, comfortable to take a step closer, maybe ask you the questions they need to ask to change from being a follower to a client. So you're trying to be open and encourage people to reach out. Okay. They tell you to try and get across like 3 points. So if you say to someone, I'm going to help you, give you 3 ideas as to, you know, what to think about before you go live, so that at any point in the video people know, oh, we're halfway through, oh, she's on to point 3, we're nearly finished, because people don't know how long you're going to be talking. So 3 points. And I'm terrible at this. I watch myself back and I start off with the best intentions and I say I've got 3 points, and then I totally forget. I'll go point 1 and I forget to go back to point 2 and point 3. So I'm still learning, and it doesn't really matter. Maybe let go of the outcome in the beginning and just get used to the technology and feeling comfortable looking at yourself. I mean, it's so hard to look at the camera. That's the camera. I'm trying to look there instead of looking at myself, because when I'm looking at myself, you don't feel a connection with me. So when I'm looking at the camera, I'm really looking at you in the eye, but it feels like the most unnatural thing in the world. It's so much easier for me to look at myself, especially because I'm looking at myself and my eyes aren't looking at me. So I feel safer doing that. But you'll agree that me looking at the camera like this is me talking to you and connecting with you, right? But don't worry about it. You know, what I should do is find some of my first lives, because you will grow in time, and it's like that. You feel like you're doing well, and then you don't do a live for a couple of days or a week or something, and then you lose your confidence again. So it's about going back to the beginning and thinking, why should they listen to me? What is it that I'm talking about? How am I keeping it interesting and fresh? Because people love stories. If you can get your message across by telling a story, that really helps as well. All right. And 2 final points. It's always useful to have a call to action, because if people have taken the time out of their day to listen to you, it's important that you offer them the next step. So don't worry too much about them signing up and buying your product, but just invite them to take the next step. So I use the phrase, take a step closer to me. All right, so that's inviting them to take a step towards me, and that means, you know, they could send me an inbox, they could book a call, they could send me an email. So that's ultimately what I really want my clients to do. And if they like and comment on my post, that helps me as well, because then the door's open, like Rachel taught us. Then I should be, you know, messaging them and saying thank you for commenting. What particularly was it about my life that, you know, that you really enjoyed? What point was it that you resonated with? So then you're finding out a little bit more about your clients, and that's helping you create your content for the next time. I mean, I've got 12 weeks worth of content that I'm going from January, February through to March, and my plan is then to obviously do that again every year, like obviously 4 times. So it's 12 weeks worth of content. But, you know, this has taken 2 years for me to even get to this stage. So for now, just jump on, say hello, get used to the whole idea of talking to the computer and hoping that someone watches. All right. And then when you get more confident and you feel like, wow, that was a really good one. I got lots of engagement and I felt confident. I got my point across. I wasn't distracted. At that point, then you can rehash your live videos. So what I like to do is I use the audio and I put them in my SoundCloud. So I have my SoundCloud, my podcast. So sometimes you're not just using it for that one-off live. I also download the video straight away and put it on my YouTube channel. So I'm trying to get my message out to as many different platforms, but using the same content. Okay. That's it. I was going to tell you one more thing, but I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm always aiming for these to be 7 minutes, and I'm up to 11 minutes now. Yeah. The Soberholic Secret to Sober Success, fun intro and outro. Oh yeah, right. Okay, that was just me saying that I have that you can rehash your live content like this by putting an intro and an outro on your podcast and also on your YouTube. All right, so that's it for me. I hope that all worked out okay, and if not, then I hope I remember what I said. Thanks for watching. Bye from me.